The sign was barely visible through the snow. Just a crooked, wooden plank swinging on rusted chains. Hollow Pine Ridge, it read, in weather-worn script, half buried in frost. Emily Voss squinted at it from the driver's seat of her clunky Subaru, windshield wipers flapping like dying crows. The road ahead snaked up into the trees, twisting like a question mark nobody wanted the answer to. "Great," she muttered, shifting the car into first gear. "This doesn't scream horror movie at all." Her fingers gripped the steering wheel tighter as she crawled up the ice-glazed road, tires skidding on each curve. Her phone buzzed from the passenger seat, Lisa Denman. She answered, switching to speaker. "Hi, I'm almost there. Just hit that old road with the creepy sign." "Do I?" "Oh, perfect," Lisa cut in. Her voice was smooth, controlled, like someone who managed spreadsheets for breakfast and martinis for lunch. "Keep going until you see the lodge. It's the only building on the ridge. You can't miss it." "And the snow?" Emily glanced at the darkening clouds, as thick as wet cotton. "It's coming down hard. You may need to stay overnight," Lisa said lightly, like that was part of the charm. "We'll triple your rate. Is that all right?" Emily hesitated. Triple her rate. College debt. Rent. A broken phone screen she'd been squinting through since November. "Yeah," she said. "No problem. Overnight's fine." And she hung up. She didn't tell her mom. She didn't tell her roommate, Jenna. Something about the whole thing felt off, and she didn't want a lecture on stranger danger, or how true crime podcasts always start with a girl just doing a simple gig in the woods. But it was just one night. How bad could it be? They didn't call it that anymore. On paper, the place was the Denman Lodge, a sleek, modern alpine mansion with cedar paneling, enormous glass windows, and a driveway long enough to lose a small child in. But locals still called it Widow's Cabin. Always had. Always would. Something about the sharp corners and dark wood gave it a haunted look, like it was hiding teeth behind the pretty facade. Emily parked next to a sleek black Range Rover and grabbed her overnight bag. The cold punched her in the face as she stepped out, boots crunching through freshly laid snow. The air smelled like pine, firewood, and something metallic she couldn't quite place. The front door opened before she knocked. Lisa Denman stood there, slim, elegant, almost too polished for the setting. Like someone had dropped a Vogue editor into a snow globe. "You made it," she said, brushing blonde hair behind one ear. Come in, come in. You must be freezing." Emily stepped inside. The warmth hit her like a blanket, and the interior took her breath away. Vaulted ceilings. Antler chandeliers. A stone fireplace as big as a hot tub, already crackling with a golden blaze. But it wasn't cozy. It was too quiet. The kind of quiet that listened back. "You have a beautiful home," Emily said. "Thank you. My husband designed it himself." As if on cue, Dr. Harold Denman appeared at the hallway's end. Tall. Silver hair. Wire-rimmed glasses and a smile that didn't quite reach his eyes. "Emily," he said. "Thanks for coming on such short notice." "No problem at all," she replied, feeling his gaze linger a beat too long. Lisa gestured to the hallway. "Let me introduce you to Milo." Milo was seated on the floor of the guest room, building something out of wooden blocks. At first glance, he looked ordinary, skinny, pale, with a mop of dark hair falling into his eyes. But as Emily stepped in, he didn't turn. Didn't acknowledge her. "Milo," Lisa said gently. "Say hi to Emily." The boy looked up. Slowly. His eyes were a strange shade of gray-blue. Not cold. Not warm. Just winter. "Hi," he said. And then he smiled. But it wasn't a child's smile. It was small. Precise. The kind of smile people give when they know something you don't. Emily bent down to his level. Hey Milo. What are you building? He looked at the blocks. A trap. Her eyebrows lifted. A trap? For who? Milo shrugged. Then went back to building. Lisa's laugh was tight. He's a creative one. Right, Emily said. Very imaginative. The Denmans gave her a tour, then explained they'd be hosting a private dinner in the cellar, just the two of them, and some wine they absolutely couldn't miss. Emily nodded along, distracted by the rulebook placed conspicuously on the kitchen counter. Literally a rulebook. Some of these are just quirks of the house, Lisa said, but we ask you to follow them strictly. Emily picked it up. Old leather binding. Smelled faintly of ash and mildew. The rules were handwritten. Carefully. Don't open the attic. Don't use the radio after dark. Never let Milo near the firewood shed. She read them aloud with a half-laugh. Why? She asked. Like, is the attic dangerous or something? Lisa hesitated. Just, old beams. Risk of collapse. The radio has power surges at night. And the firewood shed, well. Let's just say Milo has a tendency to wander. Right. That didn't sound suspicious at all. Cool, Emily said. I'll just pretend the shed doesn't exist. Lisa smiled, for real this time. Exactly. The Denmans disappeared into the cellar, leaving Emily and Milo alone. They played cards. Ate mac and cheese. Watched a movie. At 9:07 p.m., the power flickered once. At 9:08, Milo turned toward the fireplace and asked, "Do you hear her?" Emily froze mid-sip of her hot chocolate. Hear who? Milo pointed upward. She's in the attic again. Emily laughed. Nervously. You mean like, an animal? Milo shook his head. No. A girl. She was the last one. Before me. Emily swallowed. The last what? He didn't answer. Just turned back to his drawing pad and began sketching something with wide, frantic lines. Emily walked into the kitchen to check her phone. No service. Of course. She turned back to Milo. Okay, bedtime, champ. He didn't resist. Just climbed the stairs in silence, bare feet padding softly on the wood. Emily followed, glancing up at the attic hatch halfway up the ceiling. A single string dangled from it like a noose. The hatch creaked softly as they passed. No wind. No draft. Just movement. Milo whispered, "That's where she went last winter." Emily stopped cold. Who? But Milo had already gone into his room and closed the door. At midnight, she couldn't sleep. The fire downstairs had died, and the shadows in the hallway seemed longer than before. Outside, the snow came down in thick white sheets. The whole lodge groaned with the weight of winter. Then came the sound. Thump. Thump. From above. The attic. Emily sat up on the couch, heart racing. Maybe an animal. Maybe just the wind shifting things around. Thump. She stood, moved toward the hallway, bare feet chilled on the floorboards. She stopped under the attic hatch and looked up. Nothing. No noise. Then, creak, the hatch slowly lifted half an inch and fell shut again. Just once. Emily stumbled back. Then Milo's voice came from behind her. She never liked the cold. She spun around. He stood at the end of the hallway in his pajamas, eyes wide. Who? He didn't answer. The next morning, the Denmans were gone. Emily woke to find a note, went into town to check on a friend, back by noon. Call if anything urgent. She looked at the house phone. Dead. Checked her cell. Still no bars. She turned to Milo, who sat at the kitchen table, humming and drawing. She peeked over his shoulder. It was a girl. Hanging upside down from the attic hatch. Eyes white. Hair like black wires. Snow pouring in around her. Emily stepped back. Milo, what is this? He shrugged. Her. The storm worsened overnight. By morning, Emily Voss stood at the frosted window of the Denman Lodge and watched the world vanish. Snow whipped past the glass in ghostly streaks. The trees outside were silhouettes, cloaked in wind and silence. Inside, it was too quiet. The fire had died. Her breath fogged the air. And Milo hadn't spoken a word. She found him sitting cross-legged in the hallway, facing the attic hatch like it was a TV screen. Milo? She asked, voice soft. He didn't turn. Didn't blink. She knelt beside him, resisting the chill crawling up her spine. You okay, bud? Milo whispered, she was louder last night. Emily glanced up at the hatch. It looked the same as before, closed tight with a simple pull string dangling. Just an old wooden square. But now there were scratches around the edges, thin, uneven gouges in the wood. Like claw marks. Emily swallowed. Must be raccoons. Milo didn't correct her. They had breakfast in near silence. Emily made toast. Milo didn't eat. She tried conversation. So, your parents say you like riddles? Milo nodded slowly. Then offered, what runs but never walks, has a bed but never sleeps, and has a mouth but never speaks? She smiled. Easy. A river. He gave a tiny nod. Then said, what doesn't leave footprints, but watches you sleep? Emily paused. That one's creepy. Milo tilted his head. It's not a riddle. It's a warning. He got up and left the table. No, it was a girl. But the resemblance was eerie. Impossible. Not siblings. Not cousins. Twins? She flipped to the guest logbook, a thick binder left on the entry table. Only one child was listed under Denman. Milo. No mention of Rhea. Not even once. She returned to the hallway and stared up at the attic hatch. More scratches now. Fresh ones. And something was tucked into the ceiling trim. She reached up and pulled out a crumpled piece of drawing paper. It was the house. Scrawled in dark crayon. The firewood shed sat at the far edge of the picture. And a face peered from the shed window. Not a face, a girl. Dark hair. Pale skin. Winter eyes. Rhea. That afternoon, the power died. Lights blinked off. The heater wheezed to a halt. Emily tried her phone. Dead. The landline gave only static. And the snow kept falling. Milo sat by the fireplace, drawing quietly. He didn't seem afraid. Emily remembered the ham radio. She'd seen it in the study, an old, dusty set with a mic like something from a submarine movie. She turned the dials. Nothing but static. Then, a whisper. She leaned in. Pressed the mic, hello? Can anyone hear me? We're snowed in. There's a child, his parents are gone, I need help. Static. Then, a voice. Soft. Young. Why are you in my room? Emily froze. The voice crackled again. Tell Milo, he's not supposed to be here anymore. She dropped the mic. Behind her, in the hallway, something creaked. The attic hatch was open. The wind shrieked through Hollow Pine Ridge like a warning. Emily barely slept. Every floorboard creak jolted her awake. Milo had fallen asleep in the armchair near the fire, or at least, he appeared to. But even as he dozed, his hand clutched a crayon tightly, and the paper on his lap slowly filled with dark lines. By morning, the snow had let up just enough for pale sunlight to filter through the icicled windows. But the air remained heavy, thick with questions. Emily was done playing passive. Something was wrong. Very wrong. And she was tired of pretending it was just cabin quirks and childhood imagination. She began searching. The supply room was tucked behind the pantry, a narrow, cold chamber with shelves stacked with extra linens, canned food, and tools. Most of it was ordinary. Until she noticed the panel. A section of the back wall was slightly ajar. Just a sliver. Hidden unless you were actively looking. Emily pulled at it. Behind it, a box. It was old, wooden, and scorched along one side. Her fingers trembled slightly as she opened the lid. Inside. A child's parka. Blue. Torn at one sleeve. A partially burned journal. The name, Rhea, was etched on the inside cover. A photograph, charred at the corners, showing the Denmans smiling in front of the lodge. With 2 children. One was clearly Milo. The other, Rhea. Her eyes were unmistakable. That same winter gray stare. That same solemn face. Emily flipped the photo. Something was written on the back. Rhea and Milo, Winter Solstice, 2020. Last winter. She dug deeper into the box. Tucked at the bottom was a manila folder, yellowed with age. Hollow Pine County Police Department was stamped on the front. Inside, a missing persons report. Rhea Denman. Age 8. Disappeared December 29, 2020. Presumed lost during a snowstorm. Body never recovered. But handwritten in the margins, in a scrawl that didn't match the formal report. Tracks ended at firewood shed. No sign of departure. Emily shut the folder. Her hands were cold. Milo didn't speak much that day. He just kept drawing. Pages and pages. All the same girl. Long black hair. Blank, blacked-out eyes. Standing alone. Always beside the same structure, the firewood shed. Emily sat beside him. Milo, she said gently, who is she? He didn't look up. You know who. She paused. Rhea? He nodded slowly. She's mad you forgot her birthday, he said. Emily blinked. Her birthday? Milo finally met her eyes. You always forget. That's why she hides. He turned back to his drawing. Emily stood. The hairs on her arms stood too. She moved quickly through the house, out the back door, across the frozen porch. The firewood shed stood at the edge of the tree line. Weathered. Silent. Padlocked. Or it was. The lock now hung open, twisted and broken. She hadn't slept. Not since the shed. Not since the barefoot prints. Not with the attic door creaking open again and staying that way, yawning into blackness like a mouth waiting to speak. The door opened before she could reach it. Lisa and Dr. Harold Denman stepped inside, brushing snow from their sleeves. They looked too calm. Their coats were dry. Their faces were soft with smiles that didn't reach their eyes. Emily, Lisa said sweetly. Still awake? Dr. Denman shut the door behind them and locked it. The bolt clicked like a final word. It's late, Emily said. Where have you been? Oh, just checking in on an old friend, Harold replied. Snow's fierce tonight. We had to hike back from the ridge. He said it like he was commenting on the price of eggs. Emily stared at them. You said Rhea ran off last winter. Lisa's eyes narrowed slightly. We did. She didn't just run off, did she? Emily pressed. You never found her. Dr. Denman sighed. That's not your concern. It kind of is, Emily snapped. Considering you left me alone with your kid and a ghost. Lisa took a step forward. Calm. Poised. Emily, your job is to keep Milo safe. Not dig up old ghosts. And certainly not to ask questions. Emily stepped back. Her heartbeat echoed in her throat. Where is Milo? She demanded. The Denmans didn't answer. She ran. Emily bolted down the hallway, grabbed her coat, flung open the front door. And stopped. The road was gone. The snow had buried it completely. The lodge was an island in a sea of white. No paths. No tracks. Nothing but drifts taller than her car. She tried to hike through the back trail but sank up to her thighs with every step. Her breath burned in her lungs. The wind howled like laughter. She turned back. Inside, the lights flickered. Then died. The generator had failed. She grabbed a flashlight and swept it across the living room. Shadows stretched like fingers across the walls. Milo, she called. Milo. No answer. She found his crayons scattered near the hearth. The last drawing he'd been working on lay alone on the floor. It was her. Standing in front of the fireplace. Flames curling up around her body. Her eyes drawn wide in black crayon. She lifted it with shaking hands. Then something crinkled inside the fireplace. She knelt. Tucked into the grate, just behind the embers, was another drawing. This one showed a stick figure lying in a bed. Above it, a dark shape with long hair, white eyes. Watching. The paper began to blacken as the flames licked higher. She backed away. Static snapped to life from the study. Emily rushed in. The ham radio buzzed. She pressed the receiver. Hello? Please. I need help. Someone answer me. For a moment, nothing. Then. A girl's voice. Soft. Cold. And far too familiar. You're next, babysitter. Emily froze. The voice crackled again. They bring one every year. Click. Silence. Then, upstairs, a door creaked open. The creaking attic door had stayed open for hours. It loomed above the hallway like a final invitation, or a warning. Emily climbed the ladder slowly, flashlight in hand, her breath fogging in the bitter cold that leaked from the attic like a living thing. Every step groaned. Dust swirled like ash in the beam of her light. The attic was bigger than she'd expected. And colder. The air was wrong. The shrine was at the far end. A semicircle of dolls, each burned, weathered, or hand-stitched. Crayon drawings taped to the walls. Some were childish, trees, snowflakes, a house. Others were violent. Scribbled figures, stick limbs torn apart by dark shapes. One drawing showed the lodge burning. Another showed a girl curled in a corner, eyes blackened, mouth sewn shut. In the center was an old cassette player. Beside it, a box of tapes. Each labeled with a name and a number. We kept her trapped. Harold barked. For your sake. For everyone's. You fed her sitters, Emily spat. Every year. It was the only way, Lisa sobbed. She was too strong. Milo keeps her calm. He's not real. He never was. Emily froze. Milo. A ward. A tether. Something crafted to distract a ghost. A lure. The lodge shuddered again. The fire flared blue. And then she appeared. At the end of the hall. Rhea. Bloody. Barefoot. crying. Her eyes, black and wet, locked onto Emily. And for one moment, the house stopped shaking. The fire dimmed. And Rhea stepped forward. She touched Emily's hand. Cold. Like frostbite. Then she whispered, "You remembered." And vanished. Emily awoke in her car. Seatbelt on. Engine running. Outside the forest. The road clear. The sky bright. She turned, heart pounding. The lodge was gone. Only trees behind her. She checked her phone. No messages. No signal. Except one voicemail. She pressed play. A voice, sweet and professional. "Hello. This is Hollow Pine Lodge. We're seeking a sitter for a last-minute family stay. Overnight accommodations required. Are you available?"